You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win! They score! Verhage was also jamming away. It's a power play goal for the IceDogs. And they score! Hosang, first goal as an IceDog. Strom stops Shipley. Richie scores! Gets it to Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Welcome into another Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all four of their great Niagara region locations. Make sure to give us a follow on X at Dog Pound Podcast. Stay up to date with all of our IceDogs coverage, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff. Thank you to everybody that's listening live on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel, and those listening the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert are with you to break down the IceDogs' defeat here at the Meridian Centre in front of 4,412 here at the Meridian Centre. Two really good crowds back-to-back for the IceDogs, but they come away with no points on the weekend against Sudbury last night, 7-3 in the final here. Cam ended up being 9-1. And again, we look at all the positives that have happened this year, and I think that's what makes it more frustrating to see a weekend like this with two great crowds and the IceDogs having a chance to really move up the standings, sit in fifth place in the conference, and they give up 16 goals in 2 games, and unfortunately the weekend's all for naught.
Yeah, definitely the lowest point of the season, I think, after the back-to-back losses, but we talked about it yesterday, taking advantage of the crowd, everyone showing up, especially given the weather tonight here in St. Catharines. So got to give props to everyone that did make it out to the game. Unfortunately, you didn't see a result or anything that has resembled the majority of this season. And, I thought that for the first period, I thought the IceDogs played really well. I thought it was a far better effort top to bottom in the first period, and the score kind of reflected that. And even the shots on goal, I wasn't really super impressed with Kitchener until midway parts of the second period, where everything just kind of fell apart. But I thought that the IceDogs outplayed them for a majority of the first half of that game. Just couldn't get the bounces and couldn't get shots through cleanly. The shots were low on both sides, but for the IceDogs specifically, if we were to track shot attempts, they had a ton of block shots and missed nets, but they were taking advantage of the time on attack, and I thought that everyone had a nice little jump in their step. Specifically Kevin and Loshko, I noticed both of them finishing their checks hard. And again, they just looked energized throughout the game.
We'll hear from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau, his honest post-game thoughts, as well as former IceDog Andrew Vemeulen, who returned for the first time here at Meridian Centre in front of friends and family and scored 2 goals tonight, so we'll hear from him as well on the post-game show. Cam, the Rangers came in. I know that technically they're third, but they have the second most points in the Western Conference. They had lost 2 of their last 3, though, coming in, and almost lost Owen Sound just the other night. But they come in here. They don't have a lot of world beaters as far as high-end point scorers. I know they got a few guys that came with the NCAA ruling, but you look at the high-powered guys they had last year with Carson Rakoff. Just a really solid team that we got to see on display tonight, and you see why they're top 3 in the Western Conference with some of the best in the league.
Oh, they're heavy. Like they're a hard team to play against. They have a lot of guys on that team that will that are aggressive, that finish their checks hard, and will stir some things up. And Parsons in net has been terrific as well. So a really well-rounded team, and definitely we don't get to see them a lot, but obviously going into the season, it was thought that this would kind of be a transition season, trading Rakoff and maybe loading up for the Memorial cup bid in a couple years where they're definitely going to be in the mix, as is Niagara. But, it was kind of surprising to see them be so good so quickly again, like I mentioned, in a transition year, but just well coached. And, there wasn't a lot of opportunities in the middle of the ice. They kept everything to the outside. I thought the IceDogs outplayed them in the first period, but they took advantage of all of their opportunities.
We'll get it started with our prep list, brought to you by Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. You try the rest now, and why not try the best? Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, serving the Niagara community since 2013. Check them out at carmine'spizzeria.ca for the best pizza and wing combos anywhere in Niagara. Super Bowl as well. Make sure to get your orders in early for that as well. Cam, as far as the lineup goes, pretty much the same forward group for Ben Boudreau. Same with the defensive core. Rafik Dayanov he had warm-ups yesterday, then was scratched. Tonight they did the same thing with the Watcher, so they had 12 and 6. But the big difference was in net with Matt Humphreys getting the start after stopping 13 of 14 in relief of Owen Flores last night, who looked off. But again, going up against one of the top teams in the Western Conference, you wonder if that was really too much of a task to ask for a guy that was just playing in the OJHL 2 weeks ago.
Well, you have to feel for him because he is going to be a big part of the future of this team. And, obviously a very young player and in a very difficult position in terms of, all the spotlights on you when you're a goaltender and you get a start. Last night he came in, not a lot of pressure on him, obviously. He comes in relief of, they were down 6-1, I believe, at the time to last night, and Owen Flores was pulled. I thought that it was the right move given, what head coach Ben Boudreau was talking about in terms of accountability and things like that, and even just giving Flores a night off after having so many. So I thought it was nice to see him rewarded. But, against Kitchener, the top three team in the league, it was pretty clear from 30 seconds into the game that he just might had a little bit of an issue between the ears, I think, in this one. Pressure, I think, got to him a little bit. This was definitely not Humphreys playing up to his ability. I'm not concerned about his future or anything like that. It was just a situation where I think the nerves might have bit him a little bit. And like I said, I thought the team played pretty well around him the first half of that game, but he just didn't have it as the game went along. And, given how it went yesterday, given Flores the night off, they just kind of left him in for it, and the team kind of wilted as well. So, I hope that he can right the ship and get some more opportunities, but because after last night, he looked great last night, and just today he did not have it. No, he didn't. But, again, just the whole team collective, I know Ben Boudreau will talk about it later, he actually liked their effort through 40 minutes. Yeah. But compared to last night, where against Sudbury, they just didn't buy in from top to bottom. It was almost like the Rangers scored a few goals there and then really put it out of reach. But in the second period, it almost felt like it was at points that it was a close game before Kitchener obviously blew it open. Then they scored the late one at the end of the second, which really kind of put any doubt out of reach there. Well, I mean, they've just got to stop the goals in the first minute. Yeah. And whether that's definitely on the goaltenders as well. Both goals that were scored in the first minute of this game as well as last game with Flores in net were not good. They were ones they need back, and for a team that's kind of struggling right now, they play the best when they get their goaltenders to kind of run with it, and you can't give up those a minute in, because at least if that happens halfway through the period, okay, they've got some touches, but immediately down 1-0 in a game is just awfully tough mentally, because you're always chasing it, and they just got to figure it out. I mean, top to bottom from the team, like whoever's the starting lineup needs to be aware, like just collapse, do whatever they can to survive the first little bit. Because it's happened not just the last two games. Like I would love to go back and take a look at all of the games so far this season. There's been many, and usually they're at home as well, where in the first 2-3 minutes of a game they give up a goal. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's preparation. I don't know if that's lackadaisical as they get into the game. I don't know if it's the starting lineup, because the starting lineup's always different at home. Usually they rotate. It's not usually the exact same thing. So I don't know what it is, but they really got to figure it out down the stretch here heading into the playoffs. We'll get into our game stats, brought to you by Gales Gas, your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. Not just a gas station or a local tradition, because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gales, multiple locations across Niagara. Low shot game, Cam, 25-24 in favor of Kitchener. Not a lot of, again, volume as far as shots and everything like that, but Kitchener was able to get
9 on 25. So again, they capitalized on their grade A opportunities that they were able to get. Rangers 1 of 3 on the power play tonight. Niagara 0 for 6. So the last 2 nights they're 0 for 11 on the man advantage. That's obviously a big factor, although you'll hear from Ben Boudreau has been happy with the power play coming into this weekend. They had been firing pretty well lately, but 0 for 11 on the weekend is not going to be something you want.
I thought tonight on the power play they moved it around nicely. They just couldn't bury. There was a couple posts hit, things like that. Like they were definitely when it was 2-0, they were fighting it. You could, like I said, they were in the game for the first 40 minutes. I thought that they played very well. They just did not get a timely save at all, and that just sometimes will happen. I believe the shots in the second period were like 14-14. It was or something along those lines. It was very low, and that's a testament to both these teams playing well and forcing things to the outside. But again, I think the IceDogs might have had like 10, 12 missed nets. So a lot more shot attempts, I think, coming from the IceDogs side. But yeah, the power play yesterday was a mess, in my opinion. But I think that the movement and everything like that tonight did look a little bit better. But 0 for 6 is tough. And, early on they go down by 1. I think they drew 2 power plays pretty quickly. And it was by, working them. Hotless got one, who's been playing well recently. But he was working and moved and drew a call. So nice to see there. But, yeah, you got to capitalize when they make mistakes. And I find like on the road they always do. But at home, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. And face-offs, Rangers led that 34-28. IceDogs' best was Zada, 14 of 26. Lashko, a second straight tough night on the dot for him, which he's usually been solid with, 5 of 17. Galianov, 4 of 10. Crete, 2 of 5. Wasselin won both the ones that he took. Tonight, the face-offs to me weren't as egregious as we saw last night in Sudbury, because Sudbury literally scored off a couple of face-off plays. There wasn't really...
I didn't notice
anything tonight from that.
And again, we don't really need to go through the scoring summary. I mean, to be honest with you, it's probably the bleakest one of the season, but a lot of this was just goals you needed to have stopped. And again, I don't want to harp on Humphreys, in his first start at home, I believe. And the pressure that he's got to be feeling, especially in that position, right? Like you need, it's got to be absolutely brutal. So I hope he just doesn't, wear it for too long. And the real issue is that he's probably not going to see the net for a while, but that was going to happen regardless, I think. Even if he had a pretty good game tonight, Flores was going to go back in the net and probably play the majority of down the stretch, but he's probably going to not see time unless, knock on wood, something happens to Flores or another rough game, but I don't anticipate, and I bet you Flores is chomping to get back in the net.
Yeah, they got 4 games next week in 6 days, essentially, so it's going to be a tough stretch.
I would bet Flores plays all of them.
They have that Sunday, Monday. That might be the only one where I could see maybe Humphreys gets the Monday in Brampton, but other than that, I think Flores getting at least 3 of the games, at least.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, given how the team has gone right now, they play Brantford as well twice next week. Like I said, if they lose both those games, then they're going to be chasing a home playoff spot for the rest of the season, in a sense where they would need to go on a kind of a miracle run.
Yep.
And I just don't think that's maybe in the cards. So that's a massive weekend, even just to split. And then Brampton has been finally playing a little bit better.
Scored 10 last night.
Exactly. We've said this all season long. For whatever reason, they have just underperformed as a team. But they have all of this skill and talent in the world, and no one wants to play them in the first round. And some team that finishes good in the standings is going to face them in the first round. But they're coming on strong, and that's just a brutal weekend. There's a real chance here that the IceDogs lose 3 of 4. So I would anticipate that Flores probably plays all of them as long as he's breathing.
Yeah, 19 games left for the IceDogs here, and we'll see where things go. But we're not going to go over the whole thing, but our scoring summary is brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in Niagara since 1983. Check out their up-to-date job board at ehc.on.ca to find your next work opportunity today. If you want to hear about all the Kitchener Ranger goals, go check out Josh Brown's article. That's going to be up later. We're not going to go over all of the scoring summary for Kitchener's side of things. You can go check that out later. But as far as the IceDogs, you mentioned it. They gave up a goal 30 seconds in last night, 19 seconds in tonight. And again, that's just very deflating for your 2 best crowds of the season, other than New Year's Eve, which is always a staple. I mean, the first 3 goals that the Rangers scored, the one in the first, and then you can count all 3 in the second because the last one was with 2 seconds left in the period. Like, I think Humphreys, if he's comfortable and is, in the zone, I think he stops 3 of those 4 goals.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Like a lot like the Musty goal last night. He's a big kid and covers a lot of the net, but I don't know if he's going down a little bit earlier or if what the tendency. I mean, there are great shots just under the bar, but a couple of them were just ones that you need to stop in the OHL. And like I said, there was probably an opportunity to put Flores in for the third period. But I think given what happened last night and just to give him a night off was probably the right move in what was a lost game. It's hard to score that many on Parsons, and just the way the game was going, the IceDogs were fighting it. So I understand leaving him in. It's just, it's tough with the situation with Charlie Robertson. Humphreys is it. Like, there's no fallback. So, so that means you got to be careful with Flores. I don't know. It's going to be tough.
And then the Rangers scored early in the third, too. So, again, early goals in periods, just something that the IceDogs have got to clean up, be able to get the period started off well. But I will say that there were some defensive lapses in this game. The third goal, they just walked right down the middle from the blue line, essentially, and was able to get that third goal, Arquette's goal. I don't care what goalie you are. If you're just given ability to walk down in the slot and just wrist one. Not
all the goals were on Humphreys by any stretch of the imagination. Like I said, the team wilted pretty hard, and then just were waiting for the game to be over, especially a couple at the end that were just pretty egregious on everyone's part. So, but yeah, the period is the real issue, because you go into the locker room, Ben is a vocal coach. Like, he's gonna, get them fired up, and then it just wipes out anything that you talked about with the second that a goal goes in like that. And I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe figuring out the line that at least survives. Whether that's always starting with Kevin and Loshko, and something like along those lines. I don't know what it is, because they've struggled a little bit too. It's not like they've been lighting the world on fire either. But I don't know what it is. You got to survive that first minute though.
Gallianov gets the IceDogs' only goal. Ryan Rubrick set that up from behind the goal line. Found Gallianov with 15:20 left to break Parsons' shutout. If there was a positive in this game, Ryan Rubrick with points in back-to-back after that nice goal he scored last night, and finds Gallianov. But again, it was an 8-0 game at that point. But at least they weren't shut out. That's the one positive there. They haven't been shut out all year long.
No, absolutely. Still remain one of the higher-scoring teams in the league, but now firmly cementing themselves as the team that gives up the most now. So
it's just hard because behind their goal line, a lot of teams find a way to cycle the puck on them, and especially you mentioned bigger, heavier teams like Kitchener, they can just wear you down as the game goes on, and we saw that tonight.
Well, I mean, there's the bottom six is smaller. In most cases, the bottom six traditionally is, the grinded, kind of players. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't have success. It's just when the bottom six is a little bit on the smaller side. And this is all kind of a moot point anyways, because once Asadorian and Paris come back, this team just looks completely different.
They've only lost 2 games with both of them playing.
I know, and they were both point-per-game players, I believe, in the games that they've played. So once they come back, like this, it's far different. But yeah, I don't know. It's just nothing's going right now. It seems they're really fighting it, and this happens every season. Every team goes through this, but we'll hope to see things get one big win, and we're back.
Yeah, it would be nice the IceDogs to get back on track early next week with that Wednesday game in Erie. We're going to take a commercial break. We're going to come back. We're going to hear from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on our Wild Bills Auto Repair postgame, as well as former IceDog Andrew Vemeulen on his return to Niagara. So stay right here. We'll be right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. Back after this.
Fuel up your day with Gale's Gas Bars. They're your go-to gas station in the Niagara region. Remember, at Gale's, they're not just a gas station, they're a local tradition. Whether you're hitting the road or staying cozy at home, choose Gale's. Gale's Gas Bars provide reliable fuel that keeps you moving. Stop in for quality you can trust and service with a smile. Don't settle for less. Head to Gale's Gas Bars today, because when it comes to fuel, you're going to Gale's! Learn more at gales.ca.
Did you know that the global pet food stores in the Niagara region are all independently owned by members of the local community? We believe that pets are truly part of the family and are a source of joy in everyday homes around the world. Yet that living, loving experience usually doesn't happen all on its own, but takes extra effort to create and maintain. And we want you to know that the owners and staff at Global Pet Foods are always there to help you keep it going, any way we can, because we believe. Proud show sponsor of the Dog Pound podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs. We hope to see you at one of the following locations across Niagara: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, as well as 400 Scott Street and 344 Glendale Avenue in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family.
Celebrating a birthday, wedding, graduation, or just watching the big game? Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano is there to satisfy your pizza needs. Serving handmade Italian pizzas created with the freshest, top-quality ingredients, loaded subs, and their famous chicken wings. Platinum Award recipients of Community Votes Niagara for Best Pizza and Wings in all of the Niagara region. 3 years running. Open 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week from their brand new location at 7156 Drummond Road in Niagara Falls. All payment options accepted to fit your convenience. Available for call ahead, pickup, or delivery. Place your order today at 905-374-4400 or check out their online menu for the best quality pizza and wing combos you'll find in Niagara at carmine'spizzeria.ca. You've tried the rest, so why not try the best? Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, proudly serving the Niagara community since 2013.
Are you currently looking for work in the Niagara region? If so, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thorold Stone Road in Niagara Falls. Their many free services include a fully staffed resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment, training, and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, and Better Jobs Ontario information and registration assistance. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983.
This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
This is Alex Asadorian.
Hey, it's Ryan Roberg.
This is Ivan Gallianov.
This is Matthew Virgilio.
My name's Jack Browdy.
And this is the
Dog Pound podcast.
The official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back to part 2 of today's Dog Pound podcast game recap for the IceDogs 9-1 defeat at the hands of the Kitchener Rangers here on a Saturday night in front of 4,400 fans in downtown St. Catharines on a snowy night. So appreciate the fans coming out tonight. It was a great game, and shout out to Nathan, who I saw downstairs, listener of our podcast. Thank you very much to him for the support, and everybody that does give us support here on the network. Another avid listener just passed away this last week, Jill English, a great supporter of the network and of our Dog Pound podcast, big IceDogs fan, and she will be sorely missed. So just wanted to give her a quick shout out there. As far as tonight's game goes, we're going to hear from IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills auto repair postgame. Cam, before we do that, I mean, I keep mentioning that they've got a tough stretch coming up here. Four games next week from Wednesday to Monday. 3 of them are going to be on the road. You almost think that after 2 tough home games that they've just had, you think maybe going on the road will take a little bit of pressure off of them?
Yeah, they've played well on the road this year, so I think that's what they need after this weekend.
Yeah, so I think that would definitely be something that they're looking forward to here in the last 18 games of the season. So we got Ben Boudreau's post-game comments, as always, brought to you by Wild Bills Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road in Niagara since 2012. In honor of the late William Robert Hunter, here's what the IceDogs head coach had to say, his honest thoughts about his team's performance here tonight and on the weekend in general.
Obviously not a lot of positives in that one. What was the message after the game, or did you even bother talking to him after that one?
Well, you're at a loss for words, you know what I mean? 9-0. That's tough, right? It's tough. Rookie goaltender making his debut. You don't want to go to the media and curse him, and you know what I mean. He had 4 really good periods, and it's a tough game. Tough game, and I love the way we played as a team, to be honest with you, through 40 minutes. I mean, a 5-goal period is never going to be good, but I really thought our effort level and compete was there through the first 40, and then they got that 5th one early in the 3rd, and that's, the straw that kind of broke the camel's back, and you could kind of see our give up in the 3rd, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and, it's took it on the chin.
Yeah, I mean, you got 3 goals last night, 1 tonight, 0 for 10 or 11 or whatever on the power play. What is the problem with the power play right now? I know it's been an issue all year.
It hasn't been an issue. I mean, we were 8 for 14 on the power play. I mean, in the last week and a half. I mean, we were phenomenal on the power play. I mean, it's the best it's been in a 2.5 seasons. I mean, we're averaging almost 1 every 5 goals, but we go in bad stretches. No question about that. Just there wasn't anything positive about tonight. The power play wasn't good, and it was tough. We didn't score goals, and we gave up a lot. It's a really bad recipe.
Absolutely, yeah. So how do you turn the page on this thing?
We don't have any choice but to come back here on Monday and go to work. I mean, we can give up or keep finding a way. I mean, one thing we know right now, I mean, we're deficient with our defensive game, and I mean, we're trying everything we can. I'm trying everything that we can right now, but that's a tough one, and especially doing this interview, listening to another team clinch the playoffs, it stings. There's no question about it.
For sure, yeah. But having said that, 1 win is only 1 win, and 1 loss is only 1 loss. So can that help you as far as, look, this is not the end of the world. I know it's 4 in a row, but it's also a very small sample size.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully there's better days ahead. And,
right.
We've been on the right side of things, and right now we're on the wrong side of things. And, it's tough right now. So like I said, you take it on the chin and try to wake up tomorrow and see what you can control.
Sure. One other thing. How important is it for the leaders on this team maybe to step up and maybe not necessarily go and score 8 goals a game or something, but to make sure that everybody has the right mindset, right?
Yeah. It's extremely important. We need everybody, and we can't turn on each other. I mean, the second we turn on each other, that's going to be tough. But, it hasn't been good stretch here. I mean, we've been getting the games haven't been close, and it feels like after Christmas we've really been going downhill. So it's on the players in that room to decide whether they can turn it around. But I really appreciate the effort level tonight. But that team was bigger and better and faster and stronger. They executed a lot better than us, and they beat us. Scored us 9-1 before we got one.
Yeah,
so
sure.
it's tough.
Great. I appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Coach, you talked last night about the buy-in needing to be better from your team and didn't like the effort overall last night. And then tonight against a more superior team than Sudbury, you might say. Did you see any difference or any carryover to seeing what you saw last night to tonight?
I did. I saw a lot of heart and character in the first 2 periods. And, every single goal, it was like a little bit of wind out of our sails just because of our effort level was so high through that first 40. And then when you're trying and nothing is working, and then it seems like, one shot and it goes in, it's tough to rebound energetically after that here too. So, I mean, it was tough on everybody, but, first 40 I thought was good, even though we were down 4-0. But, I mean, to say it's good at that kind of standard is, it's tough getting the words out of my mouth even to be able to say that.
Yeah, and you talk about both nights having amazing crowds here in Niagara, and you talk about having that pride, and then 30 seconds in yesterday, 19 seconds in tonight. When that happens, just how are you able to kind of turn the page and make sure that the guys learn from that and take it on the chin, like you said, and then continue on for the rest of the game?
I mean, there's nothing really you can say right now. I mean, we just got absolutely destroyed this weekend in front of maybe what the 2 best crowds are. I mean, you had so much hype and energy going into our words, and couldn't be more disappointed, but it doesn't change the fact that we lost 2 games. There's still 2 games, they're big games, but you want to get back to work and hopefully win a game and try to forget about it. I mean, 4 straight, start forgetting what that feeling is. So every single game that you play, you got to get a little bit more desperate before this thing drags on here. So it's the Niagara IceDogs are in a tough spot, but there's nobody coming here to save us. It's up to us to get out of it, and the only way you get out of it is by working with one another here. So you can't give up hope, and like I said, you got to be the eternal optimist and try to find solutions here.
Lastly, you got 4 games next week, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and then a Monday game. 4-game week is never easy, and it's pretty rare in this league. Do you think that that's almost better, the fact that you get to turn the page real quick on this weekend, or and get a couple of practice days, or would you rather have like 4 or 5 practice days and then play only a couple of games on the weekend?
Well, I mean, we're riding a 4-game losing streak. We want to try to end this thing as quick as possible, right? So we get to do that on Wednesday, and hopefully we can find a way to do it on Wednesday here too. So need to be a lot better here going forward.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
There was IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills auto repair postgame. Cam, you can hear it in his voice just how disappointed he is in his group over the weekend. Hard for him to find the words to necessarily say, but he did talk about the compete and the heart being there through 40 minutes. We saw Levin jump in when Zada went down. That we didn't mention as well. Both players got 10-minute misconducts, and you saw a little bit of bite back there. But what were your takeaways from what he said tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you could hear it in his demeanor, and we've talked to him after losses before, even tough losses, and this is definitely different. I think that he knows, they're going through it, and we talked about this all year. There was games where the IceDogs couldn't put teams away early on in the season, and we had talked about how they need to learn how to win because they've lost so much over the last 5 seasons, haven't made the playoffs, and there's still a few players that went through last year, right, and even the year before with Kevin, he was there, and so was IceDogs for the last part, and those are really tough years, and when you're used to losing consistently, it starts to creep back in once you've started losing a little bit consistently. And that just hadn't happened at all this season. I mean, it has been nothing but sunshine and rainbows for the most part for the first 3 months. And it was just such a stark contrast that we just got used to the winning. And we talked about it last night. The Eastern Conference everyone got better, and it's just there wasn't a few teams loading up and like what we're seeing in the Western Conference, and maybe that has something to do with the top end of the Western Conference, so teams have just avoided it. But a lot of teams in the East kind of went in for it, and since that Christmas break, the IceDogs have struggled, and he mentioned it. But I like the fact that he did count. He did mention that he loved, or he really enjoyed his team's effort, because I could see it just watching. The tough part was that he didn't want to put down his rookie goaltender, but that's a night where you got to own that. That was not your best performance. You did not give your team a chance to win. However, they scored 1 goal. So let's be honest here. Whether he stops 7 of the 9 goals, they still lose. So that really doesn't change anything. But this is a game that's probably far different if Flores is in. But Humphreys earned the start because Flores had his worst game of the season last night. That wasn't a he's tired and whatnot. That was he did not look sharp really at all. And again, that probably has to do with the fact that he's played 44 games, right? So again, tough all the way around, and it's tough to hear the coach because obviously he's trying to figure things out as well.
Yeah, 2 wins in their last 10. They picked up 2 points in 2 of those games as well, but just a stretch that we haven't been used to for the IceDogs. Now 4 straight without gaining a win, and again, after what we've gone through the last few years, this year, that was something that they really haven't done at all, so it was almost like we were almost spoiled with them only losing 3 straight once, I believe, this season, and not really being able to bounce back after a tough game. Just these 2 on the weekend just haven't been there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now they've got, Erie is such a tough game for the IceDogs, it seems, over the last few seasons.
It's a rivalry game.
Yeah, they always play them very tough, but right after that you have 2 against Brantford. That Erie game is very important because the Brantford games, Brantford has got it together. Their slow start is now a thing of the past. They have moved past the IceDogs in the standings, and they're more likely going to get a home ice playoff round too, which looked crazy if you were to look back at the beginning of December. But that being said, they have to figure out a way to score first. Just need it over the next little while.
Yeah, and not giving up 7 and 9 over 2 games is something that obviously Ben Boudreau's talked about all year. They're giving up the most goals in the league, but they've been able to overcome that and still be where they are in the standings, which is just incredible to think about. Before we go, we got to get our IceDogs player interview, which is it's a former IceDog player interview, brought to you by Cully's Original Sports Bar, proud supporter of Niagara IceDogs hockey. Whether you're gearing up for the game or celebrating a big win, Cully's is the place to be before or after every IceDogs matchup. Just a short walk from the Meridian Centre. Cully's, it happens here. Here's former IceDog Andrew Vemeulen in his return to the Meridian Centre and scoring 2 goals against his former team.
looking pretty good.
Back in the postgame with former IceDogs forward, now Kitchener Ranger, Andrew Vemeulen. Andrew, back at Meridian Centre for the first time. First of all, before the game, did it feel weird coming through the away side this time and coming through the away gate for the first time?
Yeah, it was a weird feeling for sure, being on the other end of things, but it was good to be back in the building, and yeah, it was a fun time for sure.
Looked like you had about 30 or 40 friends and family here tonight. Just how much did that mean to you as well?
Meant the world to me. Love when they come support me, and it's nice that I'm a hometown kid from here. Used to play here, so nice to get a good crowd out for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you get traded, you want to come back motivated, and 2 goals tonight for you personally. You're having a career year with Kitchener, and you guys are doing really well. Second place, technically in points in the West, but third in the conference because of the division. So, how are things been going for you for Kitchener here?
It's great. Unreal situation I've been brought into. Great fan base there. Unreal coaching staff, and a great team all around.
When you scored the first one, how did it feel? And then when you scored the second one, what was the feeling then, being able to pot a couple of goals against your former team?
Yeah, it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders for sure, getting that first one, and the second one made it feel even better.
And lastly, now that you guys are kind of going to be playoff bound and you're trying to gain seeding right now, probably still trying to catch London for that first seed, but what's the message here from the coaching staff, and what do you expect from yourself the last stretch here before getting to the playoffs?
We don't got to worry about where we are in the standings. We know we got a good group in that room, and we're going to come to compete come playoff time.
Former IceDogs forward Andrew Vemeulen, now Kitchener Ranger. Andrew, congratulations on the win and continued success. Best of luck in the playoffs.
Thank you.
There was former IceDog Andrew Vemeulen on the postgame after his 2-goal night here in his only trip to the Meridian Centre this season. Cam, always enjoyed conversations with Verm off the ice, and again, a guy that was a bottom 6, fourth-line player, getting some opportunity here with Kitchener and having a pretty good season for what you'd expect from a bottom 6 player.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to see him have some success this season. We saw in training camp that he might be the Podaloo of this year, you know, the standout from training camp that goes on to have a really impactful season. It was sad to see him go. I do want to give props, though, because he's having a career year, but essentially Doherty came in to replace him, and it's kind of a wash in that sense. It was just a team fit thing. I don't think it was
right shot, left shot.
That was all it was, and I'm glad to see that it worked out for both of them, to be honest with you. So, but no, Vemeulen had a great performance today, and he's just big. You know, great to see him, and again, it was always fun to see his energy in games, especially during the tough years.
Yeah, big body, and again, you mentioned Doherty's come over as essentially, replacing them. Doherty, 12 goals, 21 points. He's been on a heater. This is his first game without a point in 5 games. So, with them not playing their best effort, that stood out to you in a positive way.
I thought Kevin played a great game as a captain. I thought that he led by example. Even though he didn't score, he was dangerous offensively, but he finished every check, every back check. He was hard on the puck, what you want to see in a captain when he's not scoring. Again, those nights where you're not showing up in the box score, it's stuff that you've just got to kind of see. And I thought that he was pretty good, and it was right off the rip. Obviously they gave up that first goal immediately, but the first few shifts after that, he was definitely trying to get his team back in it and leading by example.
Charlie Hotless drew another penalty, and again, a guy that is getting put up in better ice time because Ben Boudreau's not been happy with some of his top 6 or top 9 players. But number 74 just seems like he's continuing to stand out in games and starting to make an impact when you're not scoring. What are you doing away from the puck? Are you drawing penalties? Are you forechecking? Are you getting the puck out of the zone, which he does a good job of, not throwing it up the middle or anything, gets it off the glass, up and out, and he's just doing all the right things, as Ben Boudreau said.
Absolutely. Again, we haven't seen him offensively. I don't think there's going to be a lot this season in his first year. And but the development from the first few games that he got into at the beginning of the year to now is night and day. And he looks like he's becoming a little bit more comfortable as well. He's also big, and that's something that's kind of lacking in the bottom 6.
Well, Cam, we're not going to do another one of these for quite a while here. So 4 games coming up for the IceDogs. Won't be here next Sunday with your other commitments. But again, possible 8 points here. The IceDogs, you'd think, have to pick up 4.
Yeah, again, I think that now for sure the realistic goal is to just try and get fourth to get the home ice playoff round, but they're chasing a lot of teams now because everyone's kind of caught up. And even Sudbury, that loss to Sudbury last night does matter because they're getting right behind them as well.
That's going to wrap up another Dog Pound podcast, Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Thank you to those that listened live today on our YouTube channel, as well as those listening the next day on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Please give us some love, whatever one you chose to listen to us today. Give us a follow on X at Dog Pound Podcast for all of our Ice Dogs updates. And thank you very much for tuning in here in front of 4,412 here at the Meridian Centre in a sellout last night, 5,300. Thank you, Ice Dogs Nation, for two great nights here as far as attendance goes. So, Ice Dogs 1 and the Kitchener Rangers 9 for Cam Halbert. My name is Brandon Caputo. Have yourself a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and we'll talk to you again following the game against the Brantford Bulldogs next Sunday night.